Well, a man by the name of Paul Katz has been making the rounds. You may know who he is. He was one of the original anti-Kyles, and a vicious one at that. Ever since the shootings, he had been posting all kinds of crazy interpretations of Wisconsin laws and what took place that night in Kenosha to paint Kyle as guilty as possible. And some of his takes were absolutely ludicrous. Then he kind of disappeared for a while. Didn't hear much from him. He deleted all of his Facebook videos after Neil Kernan from V Radio slaughtered him, and I was all over him too. And then his Twitter accounts got deleted. Then he came back. Recently, a changed man. He has seen the light. He has looked at it all now and has decided that Kyle Rittenhouse has not been given a fair shake, and now he's beating the drums to raise money for Kyle so that Kyle can get a fair trial. A changed man. Or is he? Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dredd to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dredd Show.
All right, so on Twitter, he came back and was talking about how he had been watching the hearings with Binger doing his typical stuff and had decided that that was going too far. Binger was being unfair, and therefore Kyle needs a fair shake. And he started even posting support for Kyle's legal defense, even claiming at one point that he had donated money to Kyle Rittenhouse. A short time later, he came out with his public apology on YouTube. Let's go ahead and play just a moment of it.
My name is Paul Katz, and today I wanted to apologize for being an idiot online. I hope a harmless idiot. Apologize to Kyle Rittenhouse, his family, and his supporters. And clear up any misunderstandings there might be with communications I sent to the prosecutor's office. You may be aware of the Kyle Rittenhouse related shootings in Kenosha, Wisconsin. There's a pending criminal case. And these events were captured on multiple videos. There's been multiple interpretations on it. I read an interpretation where, militias are illegal in Wisconsin. So, well, that's that. I shot a couple of videos on YouTube just describing the statutes. I sincerely believed what I was describing fit matters. And I was rightfully ridiculed on YouTube. When it became clear that, when the Dominic Black police interview was released, and I realized, well, wait, this seems more like private security, I took them down. I sincerely posted what I thought was correct, but when I realized that wasn't the case, I took them down.
All right. The mea culpa. Now, what was my response to it? Let me show you. Now, here is my response to one of his tweets. The original tweet is gone because he deleted this account not long after he posted this. But basically, he was saying that Kyle's legal defense needed money or something like that. And I wrote back, I seriously doubt you care. Later, I wrote, you're one of Binger's minions. If you want to sell that horse manure, take it somewhere else. Give me a break. You've been hounding Kyle from day one, so bad that your arguments got to the point of being comical. Sometime later, I was talking to Scarlett, who joined one of my live shows one time. Kyle Rittenhouse. Apparently, Paul found some evidence he forwarded to Binger. At least that is what someone told me in an email. Can't verify it, but it sure seems to explain his change of face and disappearance. And what I'm talking about was an impending lawsuit against Kenosha County I. My take on this was that Paul had done this about-face to paint himself in a good light because he was going to go to trial. Now, I caught a lot of flack from people for this because I was not giving Paul his fair due. Come on, Johnny. People change. Okay, and they do. Neil Kernan decided to interview Paul, and I'll play a little clip of that.
Well, I think if I remember right, the first time I saw it was linked to, it was on a friend, I can leave the friend nameless, it was on a friend's Facebook page, and he's someone on the right wing side, but a good guy. Honestly, I've known him for years, and he was like, "Oh well, a communist died, so sad," or something like that, right? It was so my first experience with it was whoa. So I of course found the videos and looked at it, and at first I was actually like, well, this is I don't really know what to make of this. It's there's how did this even happen? And what I think what did quickly happen is you had interests, Lynn Wood, fight back, kind of take control of the narrative in a way that wasn't helpful, and I would say very tribal. The videos of people, these people they have criminal histories, they are histories of mental illness. It's not a problem that they died, and of course, as a person, it's just the way I've raised. I'm hardwired not to celebrate anyone's death. When Bin Laden was killed, I was like, okay, well, it's good that he's no longer out there planning things, but I couldn't feel any satisfaction of the fact that he died. I'm just literally not wired that way. So when people, celebrate, when the people who latched onto this were, just being operating in that manner, I'd say I'd viscerally jumped to the other side, and was like, well, how does this make sense? And then a few days later, the charge sheet came out, and I looked at it, and I think there was there was something on NPR which discussed how yes, militias are not allowed, and that's the basis for why he's in real trouble.
Let me ask for a quick point of clarification.
Sure.
When you say viscerally, is that kind of just stating, okay, I got kind of irritated with the situation, and do you in other words, do you feel it was like kind of a semi-emotional reaction at that point?
I think emotional and maybe values driven, because when the argument is a bunch of people died and that's okay because of who they are, and honestly that happens on both sides, I think.
It sounds pretty reasonable. And if you read the little byline here on Paul's YouTube here, it says, interview with Paul Katz. Katz and I have in the past debated the Kyle Rittenhouse incident. Paul has since changed his views, and we talk about that on other issues. Now, when I watched V-Radio's interview of Paul Katz, I had to admit that there was a pretty reasonable chance that Paul was being on the up and up. And I still do think that is possible. A couple of people who follow my show, though, still maintain that Paul Katz is an anti-Kyle working with Binger. I received an email from one of my informants, and I'm going to read it to you. Now, keep in mind, these are his opinions, not mine. And I'm assuming it's a male. I don't know. I don't know who this person is. I can't even venture to guess, to be honest with you. He seems to be local to Kenosha, or at least that area. And it starts out, Paul Katz has not changed. I can't emphasize this enough, and as many people need to know as possible. I found more of his tweets regarding Kenosha County I. Again, there's some rumblings out there that Paul Katz is out to sue Kenosha County I. Kenosha County I is a local newspaper that has covered Kyle's case pretty closely. He not only said he was looking into legal action, but he also said he had already given the information to the authorities. And what does he mean by information? He's claiming that Kenosha County I or somebody is out to intimidate him as a potential witness in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. And why is he a potential witness? Because he forwarded information to Binger. I've attached these in the comments on Neil's video, but they may not be in the right order when you open them. These are in addition to his statement that Neil's video was like witness intimidation. Sent you screenshots of that last time. The picture quality is poor, but if you look at the date on Katz's emails to Binger and the date he blocked Free Kyle USA and the other Twitter user on there, you'll see he blocked them after sending Binger emails. This is important to note as Free Kyle USA called him Binger repeatedly, and his response before blocking him was, "Who's Binger? I don't know who you're talking about," etc. He started each email he sent to Binger with Mr. Binger. Unless he developed amnesia between July and August, then he knew the ADA Binger they were talking about was the Binger he had been emailing a few weeks before. Listen to his YouTube videos, Neil's interview, read his comments in both videos and his tweets, the ones he hasn't deleted, and note that he never says Kyle's innocent. His words are he should have a fair trial. This is a sidestep. You could want someone to go to jail for life, but still feel they should get a fair trial to send them there. And again, I want to emphasize, I'm reading somebody else's email, okay? These are not necessarily my opinions, although I kind of side with a lot of stuff that's in here. Ripley, in the comments to Katz's latest video, lists a few of the comments Katz previously made and is now hidden by deleting his account. And by the way, I think it's kind of interesting to note that Ripley has never been taken in by this mea culpa either. So the two people who are steadfast in their thinking that Paul Katz is still very much an anti-Kyle soldier of the left are two of the most knowledgeable people about the Kyle Rittenhouse shootings. This guy sends me a ton of stuff, and he clearly knows a lot. Ripley is really super well informed. There's almost nothing about the Kenosha shootings that Ripley doesn't know. And it's these two people who know the most that seem to be steadfast in their claim that Paul Katz has not changed one iota. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. I just find it interesting. I find the most egregious to be saying Kyle should get life in prison and he deserves everything that happens to him while he's in there. We both know what's been said is going to be done to Kyle in prison, so this is a sick comment. Like I said in my previous email, don't know if you got it. I believe Gage was going to kill Kyle. Even believing this, I still wouldn't call for what Kyle's been threatened with to be done to Gage. And actually, I've kind of defended Gage for the most part. I'm sure Gage is not buying that, but I could have been far worse on him. If you haven't already, watch Katz's latest video. He says he won't acknowledge any wrongdoing by Gage, Huber, or Rosenbaum, calling them the victims. Ripley again calls him out in the comments for not seeing Kyle as a victim. It says everything about Katz's true allegiance when he refuses to acknowledge a child rapist did anything wrong when he chased down a fleeing minor, but happily lays out the reasons a jury should consider if the minor was reasonable in defending himself. Katz has succeeded in swaying one person already. He told his audience Kyle lied that he hadn't shot anyone, and a jury needs to consider this when making a ruling. Actually, Kyle didn't say that. Pretty sure of it. The person questioned the validity of it, and Katz had a video already lined up to link and prove it. Their response shows their doubt creeping in about Kyle. Sadly, Katz is going to sway more people this way than he ever could the way he was going before. It's easier to destroy something from the inside, as people are already on the alert if they think they're talking to the enemy, whereas they've got their guard down when they're talking to a friend. Watch the video and see how many debunked and irrelevant arguments he lays out compared to how many times he outright states Kyle was in the right. Spoiler alert, he never says Kyle's right. And I'll post a link to Paul Katz's mea culpa and Neil and V Radio's interview in the description below. So here are some screen captures of tweets taken. This is in late August 2021, and I think it goes through September. Okay, it says, this idiot seems to be exposed to legal liability with this shit. I'm not sure who he's talking about. Deleted tweets. guess he blocked somebody. We the People Fight Back says, nothing screams guilty like blocking those who could potentially expose any third-party involvement. Okay, not quite sure what's happening there. I agree. Let this creepoid who revealed this info twist in the wind, wondering what comes next. Now, keep in mind, he's responding to Paul Katz. Paul deleted the tweet. Fun would be for Binger's office to go after the asshole. And I don't know who they're talking about. If I were you, I would look for a lawyer willing to work on contingency to sue this guy. Lots of Kyle groupies are threatening violence if he is convicted, and this guy just painted a target on your back. I think he's talking about Kevin Mathewson of Kenosha County I. I appreciate your advice. Let's just say I'm not going to air the legal options that may or may not be being pondered on Twitter. For now, I've simply submitted all relevant information to Wisconsin authorities. What's worse, the original Kenosha I folks emailed me and asked what my future intentions were, given my bias, after they tried to dox me with their false claims. And I think by doxing, he simply means that they published his email address, but that was because Binger made it public information. He should be suing Binger, by the way. I take no stance of how legal this is, but I have forwarded it to people who might. Basically, the insinuation is anyone who submits evidence to the prosecution might get a public outing like this. I'm not intimidated in the slightest, but fully note the slimy attempt. If authorities want to make something of this, of course I'll cooperate. Okay, and so KS6 is still trying to get him to sue Kenosha County I. And where does this come from? Well, Thomas Binger, in his infinite wisdom, decided to publish a screen capture of his email inbox. And Paul Katz was in there. Hey, Binger, this is why you don't do that. And there's the screen capture. So, Thomas Binger, he not only screen captures Paul Katz's message to him, but also you can look over here. You can look over here on the left. You get the idea who's been contacting him with maybe even the first line of their comment. So, how irresponsible is this? This email says, Mr. Binger, as noted in a prior email, the URL and the email below have been taken down by YouTube. It would appear Rundown Live was able to republish the video with "I'd be safe but stay vicious." Here is the new URL that currently does work in case it is convenient to have. So, Paul Katz tried to get a video over to Thomas Binger. And when the video was taken down, he found a new one and sent it to Thomas Binger. So that's a pretty concerted effort to help the prosecution. And this is dated July 26, 2021. And finally, somebody said, people like Johnny Walker Dredd, Neil, and I reiterate arguments and points in our replies. Here are some of the things you have said. I was never taught empathy. Yes, I remember him saying that. Kyle is a no-good high school dropout. Kyle ran from the mob to create distance so that he could turn around and shoot dozens of people. Kyle overshot Rosenbaum. Kyle was brainwashed by everything from video games, movies, to the right and conservatives. Kyle deserves prison as well as whatever happens to him there. And I believe that was Ripley, by the way. On 5, is that correct? Did he say he didn't shoot anybody? All I've seen is that he said, I'm going to the police. I'd like to know where you found that comment. I listened to it carefully. It sounds to me like he says, I'm not guilty. Paul responds, I am very hesitant to call anything an absolute fact at this point. That said, I believe you can hear Kyle say it a bit after this timestamp. What does this all mean? Well, I have no way of knowing if Paul Katz is on the up and up now. I mean, he sounds believable in the videos that I played. However, it is so important to not trust anybody on social media. None of us know Paul Katz personally. We don't know what kind of person he is. It's not possible for us to listen to him without any prior knowledge of him and be able to decide whether he's being sincere or not. The easier route is don't trust anyone. I'd be interested in hearing your point of view. Like my video, subscribe to my channel.